Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. So whatever good Freddy's the fourth film did, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Master, this movie kind of just goes down the hill. Like this is the worst of Freddy's. Next movie is the worst of Freddy's comedy. The idea, I'll talk about some of the ideas in this movie that I like, but you know, like I spoke about in the last movie, 4 was very comedic. It wasn't very scary, and that's kind of what made the set in stone the turning point. As 3 was, the sweet spot. It was funny but still scary. And the first movie's more scary, second movie's scary. 4 kind of set it towards the horror comedy route. And now you've reached almost like Freddy's Dead's almost a parody movie at this point. The next movie for this one still has some serious attributes to it, but it's still just, it's like I said, a big tone. It keeps, if you were going for the comedic route, this keeps on the same track before it was going. But I wish the Nightmare would have continued on, because now Robert Englund is so old. He's got arthritis. It's hard for him to play Freddy, which I understand. He shouldn't have to play that role where he's 79. Yeah, he's in his 70s, so he shouldn't have to play a physically draining role. And if you think in the 90s we could have had more Freddy movies if they just would have kept if they would have kept the formula for Dream Warriors and even extend some of the comedy from Dream Master, the series could have lasted 8 films. We could have got so much more Freddy. Instead, imagine Freddy's Dead, more still serious. You bring Nancy back, like I said. Well, she would have been dead from the third. You bring Alice back in Freddy's Dead. You could have included her story, which I think this movie does, sort of towards the end. But there's also there's a scene at the end where it shows maybe Freddy's still alive, so we don't know if Alice died or if survived. Some people think she died, which would be sad to see. But in the next movie, if you're unaware, all the kids in Elm Street in the town of Springwood die. All the kids, just adults. So then they kind of go crazy. So, plot synopsis. The movie starts with Alice and Dan baby making, and they have sex, and Alice is pregnant, but Dan doesn't even find out because when he's driving home, Freddy he falls asleep behind the wheel of his truck, and this time Freddy's resurrection is his baby self crawling into his old sweater from the abandoned, from where he died in the last movie. His little baby self crawls into it and grows into this disjointed version of Freddy. His arms are longer. Yeah. So Freddy kills Dan by taking control of his truck and eventually turning him into this demon looking motorcycle man. Wires going into him. It's kind of it's the only really cool death from this film, because everything else is just, it's very cheesy. For example, Super Freddy, which we'll bring up in a little bit. So we're introduced to our new characters, and these are the most forgettable of the whole franchise. I only remember a couple of them. There's her one friend Greta, who gets her face stuffed by Freddy, and then there's Mark, the comic book guy. So I think the last one's Ivana or something like that. I don't even know her name. She's probably the most forgettable of the characters in this movie. So basically, we'll talk about the deaths now. Greta is anorexic. She wants to be a model, so she's made herself skinny, and she won't eat and stuff. She's very skinny, and her dream is she's putting this thing, this chair that locks her in, and Freddy, dressed like a waiter, very cheap, like I said, very goofy, flips up the trays bon appetit and stuffs her mouth till she chokes to death on the food. That's the one. That death is kind of cool, but yeah, not very. It's decent. It's not like Dan's death. That was the best one of the film. Next is Mark's. He's killed by Freddy in comic book style. Freddy becomes this comic book villain, black and white sweater, and they fight in the comic book world until Freddy uses his claws and shreds him, and he gets shredded up like paper. So the whole plot is that Alice's unborn son. So Freddy's come back to the real world. What he's doing is since the baby dreams infinitely or like endlessly until it's born, while it's in the womb, he's like while Alice is awake, he can like go into people's dreams or something when they're asleep from the baby. It's kind of a complicated. We find out more about Freddy's backstory too, that his mother was locked. I think I already brought up how she was a nun, but she got locked up in this movie reveals she was locked in over a weekend with the son of 100 maniacs. I think it was, what was it, 100 maniacs, and she was assaulted by all of them, and she got pregnant with Freddy through that. So yeah, and then she wants to like she needs her body to be laid to rest by somebody putting a hand on her shoulder, and that can like bring her into the dream world where she can kill Freddy by sucking him back into her womb. It's a very complicated plot. Anyways, after all, like Mark and Greta are dead, Alice's friend finds Amanda's body, lays her to rest, and now Alice is facing Freddy in a dream. But she was the whole time Alice was seeing visions of her unborn son, but he was like a kid version of him because Freddy was projecting, and Freddy's feeding the souls of the people he kills to the unborn baby, so it comes out like kind of like him and stuff. So, anyways, after the face-off, Amanda sucks Freddy back into her womb, and he's trying to get out, and the door shuts on him. You think that's a happy ending, because at the end we see that that Alice is giving birth to her son, and her dad, and her friend, and the baby are at the park. But as it zooms out, you can see the Jump Rope Girls, who I don't know why I haven't brought them up. You know the Freddy song, 1, 2, Freddy's Coming for You. They're singing the song. They're doing they're jumping rope. So it kind of shows that maybe Freddy's alive. Hints at that. So then we don't ever hear from Alice again. I wish we could have got a definitive answer to her story. So my headcanon is we've lost enough protagonists. We've lost Kristen, Nancy. We don't need to lose another one. So I want to hope she survived. And you could say. And, maybe the reason why she doesn't appear in Freddy's Dead is she just wanted to leave Springwood. Because I think I would too, after you've survived some dream demon for the past 3 years, 2 years. So, next episode, we'll be talking about the worst. Or the second worst. I still would watch it over the remake. Some people like the remake, but I don't. Now, I won't be covering the remake until later in the summer, when I cover, you'll find out soon, that other series. So, thank you guys for watching. Stay blessed. I love you guys. Take care.